First, let's just kind of talk about how much it's being used and what kinds of people are using it.
Sure. So Strava Metro came from the realization we had collected all this data on where people ride and run, and it could be used to help make riding and running safer and better in urban areas.
Let's back up a minute just for people that don't know it. And so what is Strava and how?
Strava is an app and a website for people who love to ride and run, and we give you this social motivating experience. Track your workout, connect with others, and build a community.
So the way I use it, I don't ride really, but I use it when I run. It measures where I am on my phone. It can see the elevation of the run that sometimes terrifies me, but I can brag about afterwards. And then I share it with those friends that I like to share it with. But it helps me monitor how far I go, the pace, and so on, which for me is a big motivation.
Absolutely. And when you run, you're often running alone. What Strava can do is give you more enjoyment out of that run after the fact, connect you with others, and that's really what motivates you to do it more often. And you probably have had this experience. You've been on there for about a year. You find yourself running more consistently, and that's really what we see in the data as well. People will get on Strava, and it will build their consistency. And that's really
back when I just got out of college, I used to motivate my run by creating an Excel spreadsheet and seeing how far I go and tracking it that way. This does that stuff in a much more fun way, but also using the very latest in technology with the phones and GPS and so on.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's one of the things that we've seen in the last year and a half is the explosion of devices and wearable technology that really brings tracking fitness to life.
Got a lot of heart rate monitor on.
You got the wrist wear, yeah.
I've got my Up, which I'm rocking, and you know, it's interesting. I've been trying to get you on the show for a while, and I didn't really think about the fact it was going to be New Year's Day. But you've got all these New Year's resolutions. You've got people got these things for Christmas or things like this. How much do you see people using these devices like the Jawbone Up or the Fitbit and so on?
Oh, very much so. So we integrate with almost everyone that's out there, and the New Year's resolution effect is great for a lot of people. They get started there. What Strava can help you do is stick with it, and that's really where the motivation to continue to stay fit comes from being connected to others through that social fitness.
I'm curious about the drop-off and how many people get these things for Christmas and use them for a little while and don't show up again.
It's huge, yeah. And so that's where we see is like if you make it through the first month on Strava, you're hooked and you're staying on there and you build that consistency.
All right, so let's make the turn here to Strava Metro, which is so fascinating to me that because people are using Strava and you're getting all this sort of God's view like gathering of all of this information about where people are cycling, where people are running, and now you're turning to city planners with that information to do what?
Help them design safer and better streets for cyclists and runners, pedestrians. So by showing where people ride and run, you can, for example, highlight intersections that people avoid. Why? Because they're dangerous. Or you can highlight where's the major traffic flows coming in peak rush hour times. And so you can design those for better more volume and for better safety.
So you essentially create this master map, and you can see when cyclists are going across the city of San Francisco and suddenly do some sort of roundabout to stay away from something, and then you do what?
Well, for example, exactly right, that we can pinpoint retrospectively where people ride and run and walk, so it helps them understand how their streets are being used. They don't really have access to this kind of data any other way. You can put bike counters in or count people going by on their bikes, but you don't know where they came from or where they're going to. With Strava data, you have all the GPS points. You can track the whole ride, the whole run, and so you know what the route that person took. So, for example, people come through the city in San Francisco along the Embarcadero. They don't go down Market Street. Even though Market Street is a thoroughfare for cyclists, there's a great bike lane there. It's not used very heavily. People cross Market Street because it's not a very safe street to ride down.
One of our producers actually broke his arm cycling down Market Street. He caught a tire in a cable car route or a cable car.
Exactly.
So that's interesting. What cities have actually accepted this sort of data source? It's kind of like Waze for people who want to breathe and live longer.
It is. It's like Waze. And so it started with Portland. They were really the first to come on board, helped us design the product. And now it's being used by 24 different metros around the world. London, we have recently signed deals with a handful of cities in Australia. And so what we're seeing is it's still early days. People are understanding how this data can be used in conjunction with their current methods of understanding their traffic flows in their cities. So, but we see this as broad appeal.
And I should ask really quickly, because my colleague Pim Fox is instant messaging me saying, how do you guys make money? How do you make money?
Strava's primary business is to serve the athlete, and so our major revenue source is from Strava Premium, which is the best that Strava has to offer in the app and on the website. And we also have commerce, and Metro is contributing some, but the focus on Metro is really about serving the athlete with making the streets better. So the revenue stream coming from Metro is not as important to us as the message. What it sends is that we're here to make cycling and running better.